Hey everyone! Welcome to Ibato kay Doc Bato Unmasked Edition. In today's video, I want to share something valuable for all medical trainees out there. Something I wish someone had told me earlier in my journey. You know, I was never a top student. We used to label our class rankings as heart rates back then. Mine was tachycardic, over 100 in a batch of 160. But hey, at least I wasn't in VTAC or worse, asystole, those who had mentally checked out, questioning all their life's choices. Now, my study habits, let's just say they were unconventional. I never read the textbooks in medical school, not because I was lazy, but because I just could not understand them. So what did I do? I read transcripts, memorized sample exams, and basically hacked my way through med school by figuring out what was actually being asked. And you know what? It worked until it did not. Early in med school or residency, you might feel like you're flatlining, wondering if you made the right choice, but don't worry, because you haven't met the best teachers yet. Today, I am sharing 5 survival lessons, 5 rules that help me navigate medical school, residency, fellowship, and life as a professor. If you pick up even one thing from this, I guarantee it will make your life easier. Rule number 1. Look at patients with 4D vision. Medical school teaches you to memorize, but being a doctor teaches you to see. The trick to being a good clinician, train your brain to process information in 4D. In approaching patients, start with the first D. Have a working diagnosis that has a solid foundation. A solid diagnosis stands on 3 legs: history, PE, and the gold standard diagnostic test. I call this the triangle code. You need all 3, not just 2, not just 1, but all 3 to make a sound and reliable diagnosis. The accuracy increases as you go down from history to physical exam to test, but history remains at the peak of importance. Secret tip: if you don't want consultants to get mad at you, always start with history and physical examination. Never start with a lab test. After making a diagnosis, watch out for immediate danger. That is the second D. Ask yourself, what could kill this patient right now? Every patient encounter is like a game of what's trying to kill this person. Before anything else, anticipate the life-threatening complications associated with your diagnosis and act to keep your patient out of danger. If your patient has no urgent problems to attend to, the next D is consider your differentials. Never jump to conclusions. Common things are common, yes, but rare diseases exist too, but just don't make SLE your default differential. Do this cerebral exercise to cover all bases with your patient, even if it's just a common cold. Consider other diseases to ensure comprehensive management. After diagnosing, watching for acute complications, and considering mimics, what is the last D? Make a decision. At some point, you have to act. Analysis paralysis is real in medicine. Ordering too many tests, hesitating to make a diagnosis, or delaying treatment because you're afraid of missing something. The best doctors aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who know when to act and what to do next. Remember, look at your patients in 4D: diagnosis, danger, differentials, decision. Rule number 2, remember that exams don't define us, they refine us. Here's a secret: nobody cares about your grades once you graduate. Failed an exam? Good. It's okay, it means you just found a weak spot to improve. The goal of medical school isn't to pass exams, it's to make sure you're ready when a real patient's life is in your hands. At 2 a.m., when you're the only doctor in the ER, the patient won't care if you got honors in pharmacology. They will care if you know which drug to push when their BP is crashing. So, focus on learning, not just passing. Rule number 3, teach to learn. Some people get degrees and PhDs just to learn how to teach. Whoa, I admire and even envy them. But the real secret I've realized, yes, learn to teach, but better yet, teach to learn. One of the best ways to master a topic, teach it. If you can explain a complex topic in simple words, you truly understand it. Have you ever tried explaining the countercurrent mechanism to a junior and ended up confusing yourself? That's a sign. Teaching forces you to organize your thoughts, see the gaps in your knowledge, and refine your understanding. Plus, teaching others builds confidence. Teaching earns you respect. The best residents and doctors aren't the ones who know the most, but the ones who take the time to teach others. Rule number 4.
You must unlearn.
The master himself, Yoda, said it best: unlearn what you have learned. And in medicine, this might be one of the hardest but most important survival lessons. Let go of ingrained assumptions that may no longer apply. Unlearn what PGH taught you about patients. There we see the most marginalized, where ingenuity replaces resources. We trained to think everyone can't afford the best treatment. That cost is always the biggest barrier. But outside PGH, it's different. Not all patients are poor. Many can and will pay for the best care. If you carry that mindset that no one can afford optimal management, you might end up compromising care when it's unnecessary. Unlearning doesn't mean disregarding past lessons, but adapting to new realities, allowing yourself to provide optimal care without outdated limitations. Rule number 5, listen to your patients. They are the best teachers. Textbooks give you facts, but patients teach you meaning. I read Nelson's chapter 550 like any other textbook until I dialyzed a patient. Suddenly, it wasn't just words on a page. It was real, messy, and way more stressful than the algorithms made it look. That's why we, your professors, aren't your real teachers, just facilitators. We can guide you, ask questions, and warn you about pitfalls. But the real lessons, patients teach those. They show you what fluid overload looks like, what uremic pericarditis sounds like, and how fast things go south when you hesitate. Our job is to point the way. Patients make sure it sticks. I'll never forget my first mortality, a lesson Harrison's could not prepare me for. And the first time I saw a patient with AKI finally start making urine again, I literally jumped for joy, because in nephrology, urine isn't just output, it's hope. Some of the best clinical lessons come from actually listening to your patients. They're not just cases. They have concerns, questions, and a story to tell. Listen carefully, and they will teach you more than any lecture ever could. Surviving medicine isn't just about knowledge. It's about strategy. If you train yourself to think in 4D, learn from failures, teach others, stay adaptable, and actually listen to your patients, you won't just survive, you will thrive. And if all else fails, well, there's always ChatGPT. This is Doc Bato. See you in the next one.